We start this afternoon right now on the Plus with a Charlotte area immigration advocacy group that's facing a difficult challenge. We did hear that Border Patrol agents have cleared the area, but that their operation Charlotte's Web is not over yet, and this group's services, there is still a need for it. Our Julie Kay is on this story today, and Julie, let's start with the advocacy group here in Charlotte, and specifically what are the increased services and numbers? You have updated numbers as well, don't you?
Yeah, there's been some of that confusion that you mentioned over whether or not Border Patrol is still here, whether Operation Charlotte's Web is still underway. Department of Homeland Security, doubling down today, releasing these new numbers saying more than 425 people have been arrested since that operation started. But even with that confusion, with some local leaders saying, oh no, they've left, but of course ICE is still here, the Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy says they're still seeing an increased increased need for services. They offer free legal aid for multiple different groups, multiple different types of people in need, but of course immigration is kind of the big focus right now. People who need help with immigration attorneys, undocumented minors that are unaccompanied. That has been a big piece of their help overall. Recently, though, they have increased what they're offering. For example, they're sending pro bono attorneys to people's homes so they don't have to leave. They're holding things online. They're hosting clinics to help people emergency plan for in the event that they are detained or deported, making sure your assets are in the right place and that your kids are in a safe place and things like that. So a lot of this is kind of pre-planning and preparedness, because even though we don't there is confusion over whether and who's here. Of course, ICE has been here operating since before this operation and will continue to after. But still, there's that increased fear after a lot of the videos we've seen. I know that businesses in East Charlotte are still struggling to get people to come. And so we're seeing some lingering effects, and that's what they're kind of focusing on now, is that pre-planning. What can we do now while we kind of wait and see?
And besides being in a level of alertness and preparing for what could come still, demands are increasing, like you said, but this is all amid some funding cuts as well. What is that challenge like for them?
Yeah, and I've talked to the Charlotte Center for Legal Advocacy, and they're kind of an offshoot of them is the Immigrant Justice Center that spearheads a lot of that operation and that legal funding and that legal aid. So I've spoken with them a couple times over the past year about some of the funding cuts that they've faced. We've seen lots of nonprofits this year face funding challenges, not just at the county or city or state level with just budget cuts in general, but also funding that comes from the federal government, funding to help with unaccompanied minors. They've seen that kind of go from a basis that it's renewed, once a year, or I think once every 6 months, to it's renewed much more often. And so there's kind of that general fear of like, is it going to get renewed or is it going to get cut? And so I think generally they're dealing with a lot of legal aid overall funding cuts from the federal government,
right,
but also even the ones that they're still receiving are kind of on a tighter timeline that's making them be on alert as well.
All right, a lot of things to clear up, and their efforts have not waned at all. Our Julie Kay covering this story for us today here on WCNC Charlotte. When can we see your report?
Be on at 5 and 6.
5 and 6. See you then. Thanks for stopping by in Live Impact Studio.
Thank you.